So all of you know my stand by now. I've been not praised that much for it, but pilloried for it. I've been trolled for it. But I have stood with my stand ever since I came into the public eye, started writing articles and espousing my thoughts on freedom of speech and expression. So I am what I call a free speech absolutist. But let me give you the definition of free speech absolutism. बहुत लोगों को ये लगता है कि absolute free speech का मतलब है कुछ भी मन में आए कह दो. नहीं नहीं, अगर वो होता तो मैं politician होता. There are 4 caveats जो कि free speech absolutism को defy करते हैं, exceptions हैं. नंबर 1 है कि आप अपने स्टेट सीक्रेट्स किसी को नहीं बता सकते फ्री स्पीच के उस पर. कल कोई पाकिस्तानी स्पाई आ जाए या कोई इंडियन जर्नलिस्ट आ जाए जो कि पाकिस्तान के लिए काम करता हो, यू कांट. In the name of free speech, I cannot disclose the name of that journalist, so please don't. So I cannot disclose the state secrets, obviously. That's a commonsensical, logical exception to free speech absolutism. The other one is that in an auditorium full of people, you cannot, in the name of free speech, shout fire. You can't do that because that will cause physical harm, that will cause a stampede. So that is another commonsensical exception to my free speech absolutism. The third is, in the name of free speech, you cannot lead a mob to instigate violence with immediate violent repercussions. You can't do that because then you're leading to physical harm. And the fourth is, you can't, with details, call someone corrupt or slander him, because that then goes into the domain of not free speech but defamation laws, and you could be sued for it. But उसमें भी मैं अपनी तरफ से कि people can call me corrupt. So, you can, because corruption has a moral or an ethical attribute to it. What is corruption? उस पे लोग thesis लिख सकते हैं. So the point is, someone can say, look, he is morally or ethically corrupt. Now, that is not, according to me, much of a problem for me, but nobody can come and tell me that I took $600,000 from Adani, because that is slandering my reputation. Or I took some money from Ambani or something, because then I will sue that person. So with details, you cannot slander a person. That is not free speech. So with these 4 exceptions, everything else is kosher. Everything else, according to me, should be allowed. And as Dada already said, that without exception, without even blinking an eyelid, I can say that ours is a civilization that has been the most tolerant, that has upheld freedom of speech and expression for almost everyone. And yes, true, Dada has suffered for it. So it is a fact that we are, most of us are, still are, free speech absolutists with these 4 exceptions. Now, why am I a free speech absolutist? So going forward, I will not say that, read the fine print with an asterisk that these are the 4 exceptions. It is given from now on that when I say I'm a free speech absolutist, they carry these 4 exceptions with it. The reason for that is that I don't want to be the one to decide what has offended me and what has not. And I don't want anyone else to decide of what I have said, what has offended him or her. Because that is an area of gray. Who am I to say that I am offended by what you've said or you are offended by what I say? That is subjective. That is subject to what my frame of thinking is. And if I decide, or a judge decides, or a society decides, that is carrying on extending that subjectivity to the logical conclusion, given these laws, that the person who uttered those will be thrown in jail. Now, do I espouse the gray? If I do, then yes, I love these laws that curtail my freedom. And before I venture a little bit further, let me quote verbatim, because we have an astonishing lawyer sitting in our midst, and I don't want to make any mistakes, because As it is, defeating Sai in a debate is impossible. उसके बाद आप गलती भी कर दो तो चांस ही नहीं है. ये लेफ्टिस्ट को छोड़ के मेरे पीछे आ जाएगा. Which I don't want. I want to keep him busy, thrashing those guys. So, let me quote verbatim what these laws are, under which people in our country are arrested and thrown in jail day in and day out, tens of thousands in a year, based on these laws, based on the grey, subjective interpretation of these laws, the offense taken through these laws. 124A, sedition. Whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation, or otherwise, kuch bhi keh liya, grey, brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt. Just count the number of ors in here so you would realize what grey actually is. Or excites, or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government, not just India, government, established by law in India, wherein the said disaffection includes disloyalty and all feelings of enmity towards the government, shall be punished with imprisonment, which may extend to 3 years, to which fine may be added. This is the law. I put to you that 1.3 billion people, if they want, they can be put in jail by this. Itne ors hain aur isme itna kuch hai. Let me come to now the one most egregious one according to me, which is 295A, the so-called quote-unquote blasphemy law. I'm quoting the law. Whoever with deliberate and malicious intention, who is to gauge what is deliberate, what is not, of outraging the religious feelings of any class by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation, or otherwise, insults or attempts to insult the religion or the religious beliefs of that class, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. I hope you're counting the number of grays out here. Then the final one is 153. Whoever by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representations or otherwise, I think this is the same guy who wrote 295A, possibly wrote this also. मैं कॉले तो नहीं था, I don't know. Promotes or attempts to promote on grounds of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, caste or community, or any other ground whatsoever. ठोक दिया बीच में कुछ भी. Disharmony or feelings of enmity, hatred or ill will between different religions, racial, language or regional groups or castes or communities, or commits any act which is prejudicial to the maintenance of harmony between different religions, racial, language or religion groups or castes or communities, and which disturbs or is likely to disturb the public tranquility, and such activity for any reason whatsoever causes or is likely to cause fear or alarm or a feeling of insecurity amongst Darawa Musalman, insecurity amongst members of such religious, racial, language or regional group or caste or community, shall be punished with imprisonment, which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. I could rest my case right now, but since I have a few more minutes, let me carry on and tell you the absurdity of deciding that I am offended, of deciding that this is causing unrest, of deciding कि ये इससे insecurity फैल रही है, इसीलिए तुम अंदर जाओगे. Now I want, with this wonderful audience, a show of hands, if I may, on a few examples. Nupur Sharma quoted from the hadiths. 2 hadiths. I have reproduced those 2 very hadiths on Twitter. They are visible. They have 20,000 retweets or whatever it may be. My head is still satisfactorily attached to my torso, although I had a haircut yesterday. I don't know what, he cut off the wrong side of the head. Nupur Sharma quoted the hadiths. How many of you feel that she violated 153A, 295A and offended and made the Muslim community insecure? Please raise your hands. Not a single hand has been raised. And yet, उसकी तो लाइफ बर्बाद हो गई. 9 states and their leaders are saying we wouldn't leave her. I don't want to quote Mamata. He actually said, we won't leave her. They want her. And she goes to Supreme Court so that those FIRs at multiple states, I don't know, 50 odd, are bunched into one. And you know, I will quote what the judges said. In fact, I should, so that it gives you an idea. This is what her life has become. Forget her life. 7 of those who just said their only crime was, I support Nupur Sharma, 3 of those have been beheaded and killed. That's it, just for supporting. None of you raised your hands. None of you thought that what she said offended in any way or caused disharmony in any way towards the Muslim community. Let me now give you another example. 21-year-old Sunny Gupta, he was an engineer in Maharashtra. With all what was happening, he posted a Facebook post in which he said, do not go to Ajmer Sharif Dargah. Hindus should not go to Ajmer Sharif Dargah. That was it. 295A was slapped on him. He was arrested. He was thrown in jail. Muslim community said, this has offended our religious sensibilities. This is causing disharmony and hate. He's spreading hate. 45 days he spent in the jail. 45 days. How many of you believe that it was justified to throw Sunny Gupta in jail? Not a single hand has gone up. And yet he was thrown in jail. In fact, it was a tragedy because he wasn't known to anyone like all of us are. He was just a 21-year-old engineer who expressed his point of view. Freedom of speech, so-called freedom of speech, that I don't want Hindus to go to, and you've seen what has happened from those Chishtis of Ajmer Sharif. 3 of them supported the beheading, called for a revolution, said, Hindustan hila denge hum. One of them met the killers of Kanhaiya Lal ji. Sunny Gupta says, do not go to Ajmer Sharif, to only Hindus. 45 days he spends in jail because of these laws. Mangelal Agarwal. हमें ये नाम पता भी नहीं है. I had to search to bring these names. No one knows these names. Mangelal Agarwal spent 25 days in jail. Chhattisgarh, Congress government. By the way, Sunny Gupta was in Maharashtra during Mr. Fadnavis's time, so it was a BJP government that threw him in jail. Mangelal Agarwal, 25 days in jail. Why? He criticized the power cut situation in Chhattisgarh. He was charged with sedition under the Congress government. 25 days he spent in jail. How many of you believe that he violated the freedom of speech and expression and he should have been thrown in jail under charges of sedition, causing disaffection against the government? Not a single hand has gone up. And yet these 3 laws exist that throw tens of thousands in jail. Dhaval Patel, final example. He criticized the COVID handling of a chief minister. He was thrown in jail for 15 days. He was the editor of a weekly in Gujarat, BJP ruled Gujarat. He was thrown in jail. How many of you believe that he should have been thrown in jail for talking about the COVID mishandling of a chief minister? Not a single hand has gone up. So when we have such well-informed and conscientious, morally and ethically upright audience, how is it, pardon me Dada, because I don't see you as a politician, how is it that those buffoons who are ruling us, actually ruling us, not governing, ruling us, are using these laws with impunity? Why? What is the reason? And I'll tell you the reason. And the reason is that the hate that some Islamists, they hate me, I know it, that's okay. I also enjoy it at times, that's fine. They also hate me more because I love Zakir Naik. Bless him where he has. He opened my eyes. The other day there was a government that was saying that we must introduce Gita in schools. I said, no, introduce Quran. Understand Quran. So I know, but the hate that they have towards free speech absolutists is the same hate that they have against believers or atheists or apostates. There is a psychiatric term for it. It's called guilt of inadequacy. They feel embarrassed. They want to pretend that they are logical, they are rational. And yet when I ask them that, but you believe that the Prophet ascended to heaven on a winged horse, don't you? They hate it. They hate it when you tell that how can you believe that earth was created in 7 days? Or that Adam and Eve or the first man and woman were built from black mud? Or a woman from the rib of a man? They hate it when they're reminded of this. And that is why they hate free speech absolute. It is not for nothing that Galileo had to apologize. It was out of fear. It was not because of upholding the religious sanctity. It offended the religious sensibilities because those people were afraid. And that is why those people call free speech absolutism as utopia. It is not utopia. I have told you the 4 exceptions. Barring those 4 exceptions, why is it utopia? Why am I not allowed to criticize any religion? Is that religion or any religion not a collection of ideas? How odd would it look if tomorrow many of you were to criticize the way a vaccine has been prepared against COVID? And I would say, let loose a police on you and you have offended my scientific sensibilities. You dare not say that that vaccine has got anything wrong with it. How dare you? Don't you find that is odd? Now, the one aspect that I want to tell you is that I am in the same boat as all of us are. None of the hands went up. My also hand would never go up in arresting Sunny Gupta or Nupur Sharma or Mr. Agarwal for criticizing the power cut or Mr. Dhaval Patel. Never go up. But the fact of the matter is, because of these laws, tens of thousands are thrown in jail. Are they collateral damage? Are they collateral damage for us, for you? Barring this, leave alone the sanctity of whether 295A matters to Muslims or not, they're going to chop your heads. Anyway, the point of the matter is, out of 100 cases, 95 are not blasphemy cases. They are that some 16-year-old, as happened in Hubli in Karnataka, he photoshopped a saffron flag on top of a mosque. He's been arrested. God knows what will happen to him. His life has been destroyed. It will be destroyed. And it doesn't matter which class, caste, community you come from. So this so-called Jai Bhim, Jai Meem, in Bangalore, those riots occurred when Muslims thought a Dalit, who was the nephew of a Congress leader, had committed blasphemy. It doesn't matter. As Dada said, when Ummah strikes, Ummah strikes. Not the UMA, Ummah, but Ummah, brotherhood. So, and one aspect what really hurts me is that we are talking about this in 2022, when we left it to our founding fathers to decide for us. When we were taking baby steps, we left it to the people like our Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. Incidentally, when Dada talks of tryst with destiny, I disagree. I think it's messed with destiny. But the point is, he created an image of himself as if he's the paragon, the protector of freedom of speech, the most liberal politician you can find. When the truth was totally different. And I got to know of it only 3 or 4 years ago. I thought, yes, Indira Gandhi, she brought in the emergency. Rajiv Gandhi, he banned satanic verses. So yes, they were not upholders of freedom of speech and action. But yes, Chacha Nehru, of course he was. What are you talking about? बाद में पता चला कि सबसे ज़्यादा कोट एंड कोट बदमाश तो ये थे, चाचा नेहरू. Even Rajiv Gandhi would go to him and say, Prabhu, let me tell you, let me narrate the instances in the next 2 or 3 minutes as to what he did, and we are suffering because of it. Let me give you the instances of how he treated freedom of speech and dissent. First Amendment was brought in with clauses of reasonable restrictions, incitement, disruption of public order, public decency. Now look at this public decency. He's leaving it to people to decide whether what is publicly decent or not, or indecent. So if tomorrow somebody finds that Naga Sadhu's exhibition is publicly indecent, Naga Sadhu should be thrown in jail. Is this what our civilization has come to now? Majru, the poet, was jailed for 1 year for calling Nehru Hitler ka chela. First democratically elected communist government in Kerala was dismissed. Stanley Wupert's book 9 Hours to Rama was banned. The book Chandramohini was banned. Aubrey Menem's The Ramayana was banned. Campbell's The Heart of India was banned. Koestler's The Lotus and the Robot was banned. Import of any newspaper that undermined friendly relations with foreign states was banned. Aziz Beg's Captive Kashmir was banned. Fleischler's Aisha was banned. Bertrand Russell's Unarmed Victory was banned. Robson's film 9 Hours to Rama was banned. Sardanvi's Marke Somnath was banned. Robert Taylor's The Dark Urge was banned. Selling Lady Chatelier's Lover was banned. The book What Has Religion Done for Mankind was banned. Rawatwant Bhupat Singh was banned. Import of any quote-unquote obscene drawing or painting was banned. Mrinal Sen's film Neel Akshar Niche was banned. Menon's Rama Retold was banned. Tony Hagen's book Nepal was banned. The RSS's organizer was censored. Its publishers prosecuted. Film Gokul Shankar was banned. Godse's Testimony was banned. Goswami's film Runumi was banned. Historian Dharampal was jailed for criticizing Nehru post-Indochina war. Release of the 1962 war film Bhool Na Jana was blocked. President Rajendra Prasad's speech was barred from distribution. Film Jharna was banned. Draconian Press Objectionable Act was passed. Columnist Vivek was fired. His column critical of Nehru discontinued. HT editor Durga Das was fired. His column critical of the Nehru family discontinued. Congress leaders demanding Nehru's resignation were arrested and jailed. Ads to Times of India were discontinued for speaking against government policy. Magazine Crossroads was banned. Play Neil Galene Communistaki was banned. Its actors arrested. Hindi film songs were banned from being played on the All India radio. Congress demanded a ban on the iconic film Parasakthi. Film Nastik was banned. Western pop music was banned from the AIR. People's Theatre Association was banned. Play Harpita Master was banned. Film Ganga Jamuna was blocked. Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay's play Mahesh was banned. Tagore's play Gora was banned. Balraj Sani's play Jadoo Ki Kursi was banned. Tagore's play Bisarjan was banned. Pradeep's film song was deleted. 2 songs from Fir Subah Hogi were banned. Harmonium was banned from the AIR. Film Jugnu was banned. Editor Prahlad Keshav Atre was jailed for writing a critical article. But hey, Nehru was liberal. Nehru protected freedom of speech and expression. The point I'm making, ladies and gentlemen, is, and I end here, is that if we leave it to the politicians, with the exception of Dada, they will ruin this country for us, as they have ruined this country ever since we became a republic. Because we have been a banana republic ever since we became a republic. That's the harsh fact. We cannot leave it to the politicians. It is for us, we, the people, to decide. And we must collectively decide that it is grey to decide amongst ourselves what is offensive and what is not. And therefore, I put to you that we must go for absolute freedom of expression with those 4 exceptions. Thank you very much.